German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is an orangutan walking in expensive suits, but his recent remark puts all his other outrages and epiphanies to shame. Media is calling it a slip of tongue. I call it a complete brain fuse. We will tell you all about it, but before that, if you're a fan of non-corporate, funded free news and analysis, you've landed on the right YouTube channel. We publish 3 videos a day. First at 9:15 a.m. EST, second at 1:30 p.m. EST, and the third at 5:30 p.m. EST. So next time, YouTube algorithm brags about not helping your enemies, tell it that it is playing both sides like a bad DJ. Okay? Let's begin. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's remarks hinting at France and the UK's covert troop deployments in Ukraine for target control against Russian forces sparked a severe backlash from the UK. The slip inadvertently confirmed suspicions about Western military involvement in Ukraine, a topic previously shrouded in denial. Skepticism had already been widespread as the rapid mastery of sophisticated weaponry by Ukrainian forces seemed implausible without direct Western support. Scholz's unintended disclosure aimed at justifying Germany's reluctance to send long-range Taurus missiles to Ukraine to avoid emulating the clandestine actions of its allies followed a controversial statement from French President Macron. Macron had revealed that NATO countries discussed the possibility of direct intervention in Ukraine, though no agreement was reached on this sensitive matter. Despite denials from various leaders about such discussions, the Financial Times cited a senior European defense official affirming the presence of Western special forces in Ukraine, a fact not officially acknowledged. The acknowledgements of Western military involvement in Ukraine have transformed what were once dismissed as so-called Russian conspiracy theories into undeniable truths. These revelations have startled only the most incredulous or uninformed observers, marking a pivotal shift in the perception of the Ukrainian conflict. It is now evident that this conflict has been a NATO proxy war against Russia, utilizing hybrid warfare tactics. This development calls for a critical reassessment of the NATO-Russian security dynamics in the region. The long-standing narrative surrounding the conflict and the strategies employed by NATO must be re-evaluated in light of these candid revelations. President Vladimir Putin's stern warning on February 24, 2022, underscores the gravity with which Russia views any interference in its operations. Putin's assertion that Russia would respond decisively to any threats against its country or people, promising unprecedented consequences, emphasizes the high stakes involved. His statement, and I quote, "No matter how the events unfold, we are ready," coupled with assurances that all necessary decisions had been made, reflects a preparedness for all eventualities. Reflecting on President Putin's stern warning against any NATO intervention in Ukraine, it becomes evident that his message was intended to deter direct military engagement, a discussion now openly acknowledged by Macron. The avoidance of a potential World War III led the West to adopt a strategy of clandestine involvement through intelligence, special forces, and mercenaries, some of whom are speculated to be servicemen on voluntary deployment. Despite Russia's awareness of these maneuvers, they were perceived as not crossing the Kremlin's red lines, prompting no official acknowledgement from either side. However, Russia's targeted missile strikes against military and mercenary formations are interpreted as direct responses to those disregarding Putin's caution. The presence of these foreign elements in Ukraine has been indirectly confirmed through leaks on social media, Russian military blogs, lending credibility to the notion that the rapid proficiency of Ukrainian forces in handling advanced weaponry could not have been achieved without external assistance. This covert involvement aimed not only to support Ukraine's military capabilities, but also to bolster the morale of new recruits by demonstrating international backing. The involvement of mercenaries in particular is seen as a strategy to compensate for losses and exert psychological pressure on the opposition. This complex web of clandestine operations and strategic military responses underscores the shadowy nature of the conflict in Ukraine and proves that it's not Ukraine versus Russia, but NATO versus Russia. This topic was briefly touched upon by Putin in his interview with Tucker Carlson, which broadcasted on X and was watched by millions of people in the West. It was made possible by tech billionaire Elon Musk. Do you know there are plans to implicate Musk and even incarcerate him? Want to know more about this episode? Click the video on your screen.